Welcome to Inspiring Women with Laurie McGraw. I am your host, Laurie McGraw. I have spent the past 30 years in leadership, and over the years, I've come to learn one thing. Women need women, and not just any women, but inspiring women. Tune in every week to hear from women at the pinnacle of their careers and from others who are just starting out. Episodes can be found at inspiringwomen.show or subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening, and I hope you will be inspired. This is Inspiring Women, and I am Laurie McGraw. I am speaking with Alex MacLeod and Jennifer Catella today, who are two technology leaders at Intersystems, which is a global technology, data, and analytics company. And I'm really excited to speak with Alex and Jennifer this morning because we met as they are starting an employee group for women at Intersystems as they look to retain and help the professional career development of women within their company. And so Alex and Jennifer, thank you for being on Inspiring Women.
Super excited to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is going to be great because I think that so many women talk about just professional development groups as being so important to their careers, just the networking as well as learning from others. And so I'm just going to be enjoying hearing sort of how this started. But why don't we start, as I always do on Inspiring Women, talking about each of you. And maybe Alex, just, what are you doing right now, day to day, as your role as a director, leader at Intersystems?
Sure. I actually work on the product team for our healthcare suite of products, and I run anything that's commercial or field facing. So I work with the product teams, and then on the other side, the field engineers and the customers to kind of figure out best use cases and applicability for the products, commercial offerings, packaging, and making sure that we, apply them to their problems in such a way that it makes sense.
You've been at Intersystems for a while, right, Alex?
Yeah, 21 years if I count my internship years. So it's been a ride, but I do think it speaks for the company that I've been here so long because I get bored pretty quickly and I haven't yet.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Jennifer, how about you?
Yes, I am the manager of our TrackCare product. TrackCare is an electronic healthcare system that we develop and sell globally. So I am the manager of the quality development team here in the US. We focus on the testing and we're helping with the design of the product and supporting the software development.
Great. And how long have you been there, Jennifer?
Yeah, I've been here for 4 years. My background is actually as a clinical pharmacist. So I've taken a weird route to come into the IT world, but I'm loving it. The company has given me an opportunity to grow and find value in my work.
Well, I think it's always so important for companies who are delivering technology in healthcare, both, domestically as well as internationally, to have clinicians, at the forefront of the development of these products. I mean, there aren't enough clinicians sort of doing that. So that's just wonderful. What about you, Alex? And even though it's been 21 years, what was your route to technology and then landing at Intersystems?
So it's actually funny, I did go to college for computer science, but I did like a double major, computer science and business management. And I started in support, technical support. So it was very hands-on. I never thought that was my calling, but I actually enjoyed kind of getting the technical background and being in that environment and getting to know the products. And then I discovered like this mixture of being technical and out with customers through sales engineering, which is one of the roles we have here. And I spent a long time there in that department, making my way up into the management level, basically, before I ended up on the product team, still kind of doing the same thing, but at a more global scale and more closer to the product, I guess. So I've had a couple of different roles here and kind of seen the company through a few different lenses, which is interesting.
Well, the company's been around for 44 years. Intersystems, Massachusetts-based company, founded in 1986, 44 years ago. And back then, 86, I don't think Massachusetts was considered a technology hub by any dimension, even though I would consider it more of that today. So, what is the culture of the company? Who wants to lead off with that?
Yeah, I'll take that one, Laurie. So one of the things that I appreciate most about InterSystems is that they really seem to care about each person. They really want you to feel like you're part of their family and what they've grown as a company. And along in those lines, they are very particular about who they hire. We have a very rigorous process where we really make sure that we're hiring somebody who's very innovative, motivated, and they want to excel in their career. So the people that I work with are extremely competent and reliable and really a joy to work with. And for the company to combine that with really caring about me as a person, they have different perks to be able to include my family in my work life and have different family outings. So it's really a great place to work and feel like your work and your life matter at the same time.
Well, and that sounds like an incredible company commercial. And I just want to let our audience know that this is not a plugged by InterSystems podcast. And so maybe, so that's the culture of today. And Alex, just, with your 20 plus years there, how's it evolved?
Well, good question, right? Because when I started, I think we had 200 people worldwide. So I actually knew everyone. I knew every single person. It was quite the family feel. And we were excited, because we were kind of being successful, but hadn't grown as much yet. Now we're over 1,700 people. I don't quote me on the exact number, but we're somewhere in that scale. So there's been incredible growth, obviously. And it's harder with that many people because you don't know every single person anymore, right? So it still has that family feel. But I think now you need a little bit more intention, I guess, to make sure, like Jen said, that you're taking people's feelings and personal lives into account. How are the women feeling? Are we retaining them? Because you just don't know everyone personally anymore. So it still has that same feel, just bigger, and requiring, I guess, a different approach to how we make sure that people are happy and staying. And that, goes beyond just women, I guess.
Well, yeah, I think there's so much discussion in companies and culture and focus on diversity, equity, inclusivity within organizations. And as a technology-oriented company, we've certainly, are spending a lot of time talking about DEI these days. So is that an important focus at InterSystems? Has it always been a focus, or is it a new focus? It certainly is. There's a lot of investment of energy going on that. In most technically oriented companies today.
Right. So I would say we're early on still with the formal kind of DEI initiative, right? So right now we are serious about it. And there's a lot of kind of enthusiasm around it. Like, for example, we have some executive leaders that are really invested in this and that bring outside experience into the company too with their background. So they have kind of championed it over the last couple of years, I would say. And, we didn't have anything formal around it, no governance, no ERGs. So when the kind of initiative was started, it was asked, like, who wants to volunteer to be involved to help make this successful, make it into something real. And we thought we would get like 30 or 40 people volunteering. We got over 200. So it's clearly something that people care about. We brought in outside consultants that have a lot of experience with how to set up the governance around this. So we're doing that right now. So next year, I would say the answer is going to be a little different. So I would say it's all been informal with what Jen and I have been doing, for example, but we're getting to a more structured place.
I want to dive into that, in a bit, just because I think that, like how to take action and, how to form these, sometimes they're called affinity groups. Sometimes they can be much more than that, but they're certainly powerful. 200 volunteers is that's not a surprising number, but I can, you can just see or feel the energy of team members. But if we talk about women specifically in technology, we know the statistics are perhaps improving, but still there's a long way to go in terms of having more women in the technology-oriented professional fields. So lots of investment in STEM, but there's still sort of less than 20% of engineers are women. And I'm just curious, with a global company, 1,700, let's say, employees, technology focused, what are you seeing? And maybe we'll start with like recruiting. Are you seeing slates of diverse candidates? Is it hard to recruit for diversity? Just curious, and you're both managers and leaders, so you hire people. Who wants to start with that one?
So we have programs that we've established at Intersystems. They are campus-based programs in order to give candidates the opportunity to rotate through different areas of the company, and then they can find the right match for them based on the department they've been in. This is one of the ways that we try to attract not just women, but any diverse group or students that are interested in the IT field, but maybe don't know exactly which department they would interview with specifically. So we are finding that we're getting more female candidates coming from university, but like you said, I mean, it's still an area where the STEM field needs to be developed and increased. The other place where we are finding that we're getting female candidates are in our healthcare focused parts of the company. So within track care, we, because we're very user-based, it's a software that is being used within the hospital healthcare setting. We have women that are nurses, pharmacists, doctors, laboratory technicians or managers, and that's really helping us to become more diverse and have a more equitable gender group. We have several groups that are global as well, because it's a global product. So across the globe, we are seeing more and more women joining the company.
And it's interesting because I feel like we're trying to get in as early as we can with the colleges, with some of the recruitment events, or like a Grace Hopper or something, where you can go and particularly kind of try to inspire women and show them what they can do in that field. I sometimes feel like that even is too late, but it's hard to get to them before, right? So even like in STEM in general, this pool is small. And I have a daughter, she's 5. So it's a little early. My husband tries to slow me down there, but I want to prepare her to think if she's interested in this, she can go down that route, so that at some point in college, someone will recruit her. But you got to start almost earlier. And I hope that's becoming more of a thing now in society,
How does geography play into this? And I say this from, obviously Silicon Valley has been so hot and so known for tech for so many years, but that's evolving as, we've heard about, larger companies moving to different locations, whether it's Austin, we've seen some move to Miami, and so how does sort of both being a global company make you attractive to younger people, as well as, is the Massachusetts area considered a technology hotbed? What are you hearing from team members?
So I think that's a very good question. I think our location in Boston certainly is an advantage, not just as a technology hub, but as Jen said, as kind of a healthcare hub. We have like the best care, possible. We have a lot of different health systems here that are massive. So there's a lot of people with a clinical background too that are looking to get into, informatics or something like that. So that's easier for us here with the headquarters being here. With us being a global company, I think that is attractive for people in general to, not be so focused on like one particular thing, because there's a lot of opportunity here in terms of where these customer projects are, and the customers that we're working with are changing too, right? If you think of the healthcare ecosystem, it's not just providers anymore. There's pharma and stuff like that, and those are global companies. And with us kind of catering to those types of organizations, I think it's quite exciting. It's an exciting field to work in, and I think that helps in attracting women. Not that we have figured it out yet, but I think it helps.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, I'll tell you, I just was speaking with a very accomplished executive the other day, and she's just like, she's been in healthcare technology for over 30 years, and her comment is, $4 trillion of the economy, and it is a bottomless pit of learning. And I just wholeheartedly agree with that. Maybe let's turn to what you are both doing at Intersystems in terms of creating, we'll call it I don't know if you call it an employee resource group or, what it is, but how we first met was because you are forming whether an affinity group or some sort of professional development group for the female or people who identify as women employees of Intersystem. So how did that start? How did the two of you become involved to lead that kind of initiative?
So it kind of organically grew, funnily enough. So there wasn't a plan around this. Jen and I happened, with a couple of other colleagues, to be doing like a leadership training, like agile training. It was during COVID, so it stretched from like 3 full-time days in person to being like, a couple of hours a day virtually. I think over 2 weeks. And then Jen and I really enjoyed the program and pushed and were supported in doing like an applied practice program that took us further for like a 6 months kind of endeavor with this external leadership program. And because we were so connected through doing that program, the two of us kept meeting regularly. We met with external women through that. And we kind of said, it's nice that we're catching up. There was a third woman from the company involved, and we had these like regular lunch meetings where we just giving tips and tricks to each other. And we said it would be nice if we could expand this somehow. And DEI was starting to be a big focus in general. So we said, well, we don't have an official governance around this, but why don't we start small? And we called it like the Intersystems Women's Network. So we literally just started a Teams group, invited like a handful of people to start with, and then it grew and grew. So now there's over 100 women in it already. And we did things like bring in external speakers like yourself. We founded some mentorship pairings, either like groups that meet regularly or one-on-one mentorship relationships. We did some roundtables on different topics. So things like, career development, or what do you need to do to become a product manager, or is leadership the right career path for you, or how do you balance being a mother with a career, things like that. We have a couple of women that are going to a women leadership conference in July. So it's like little things, and it kind of just happened naturally, but it seems to be helping.
Well, what's the reaction? So, I mean, I think those sound like big things to me. And I will tell you, early in my career, there were not those types of networks to join that I know I could have found very useful at the time. So, what's the reaction from the people who are part of the Intersystems Women's Network?
I think the reaction has been very positive, and I think Alex would echo that. It's as small as somebody who, so I attended the one of the roundtables, the being a mother and career, because I have 2 children. And since then, I've had individual people approach me and ask if they could have lunch with me and just have a chat with me and see if I could kind of help strike some of the ideas that they have. And as large as having, the speaker series and having some of the VPs in the company really take notice, and they're the ones who nominated some of the women to attend this women's leadership conference that Alex was just mentioning. So it's really become a positive thing where everybody's kind of jumping on the train and also coming up with their own ideas, right? So Alex and I and this other woman, we really kind of got things rolling, but there have been other women that have volunteered to initiate the mentorship groups and, send surveys out to other women and just take other initiatives to keep it moving along.
I feel like it helps us too, because, and like you, Laurie, as I was kind of early in my career, there was no such thing.
Right.
I always feel like there wasn't even mentorship officially. I just learned by watching people and learning what I liked and what I disliked, but that was kind of it. Now, for example, I have 2 mentees that I work with, and it's fascinating, to see, do they have concrete ideas where they want to go, or they just know they want more, and they're doing something completely different within a company than myself. So I'm actually learning from them too. I feel like it's a give and take. They're probably just looking to me to help them, but I feel like they're helping me because we're all learning in this because we're early on,
Well, I think it's also interesting. You mentioned, Jennifer, that you have the support of company leadership for this group. Are there other groups like this, or is this a first of what may be others, or is that to be determined?
Yeah, this is really the first, but Alex and I have talked about this a lot, where we can see this really growing and developing into other type of for other groups, other diverse groups within the company, where people can use our model as a precedence and kind of take it and go their route with it.
Have there been any, what types of things have resonated, or so you've got a lot of different sort of program elements so far, it seems that you're experimenting with. What is resonating with the members of the network?
It's hard to pinpoint one thing, but I would say something that kind of spans all of these efforts is that a lot of women don't have visibility of them. Like, they don't have visibility within the company. They don't have visibility of some, or access to some of the leaders, like even up to ourselves, and this is kind of fostering and nurturing that. So just the networking aspect, I think, is huge, because then people become more confident to, for example, knock on Jen's door and say, we haven't touched base before, but now I really want your opinion or your advice. So I think that's huge. They have really appreciated the outside perspectives too, because it's easy to just get, we're all very busy day to day, and you're in your little cocoon. To get an outside perspective from leaders like you or others that we've had on the series, and with different backgrounds, shows them what's possible.
Yeah, and I would add to the one thing that I've learned coming into an IT company is that a lot of the women that we have here are extremely intelligent, but they tend to have a more introverted personality, right? So you add an introverted personality with maybe some of the more sensitivities that might come along with being a woman, and they seem to be just a little bit less likely to speak up or take an opportunity that might present itself. So I feel like we're really starting to empower the women to have a voice and volunteer and take the opportunity and reach out where they now know they can reach out.
And do the groups span geographies, offices and different locations? Or is it mainly focused in one location at this juncture?
It did start just within our Cambridge office, but we do have women in other locations. One of the mentees in my mentorship group is from the UK, and it's been great because we're not only getting female perspective on the specific topic we're talking about, but now we have a more global, a different cultural perspective that's being brought into the group.
Yeah, one of my mentees is from Germany as well. So it is definitely global. Although I think at some point as this grows, we'll certainly open it up to say, okay, maybe we should have some regional efforts too, and have like a regional champion that, kind of pushes it forward in that location specifically.
As you move through the programming, I mean, when you bring together groups like this, it's inevitable that you're going to hit some of the issues that women face in the workplace. Things like, how do I go about getting a promotion? Or I don't feel that I'm being heard in the right way. Well, how are you handling what is the inevitable of what might be HR issues or policy issues that might be discussed in these types of groups? Do you have a way of redirecting those, for issues that you as individual leaders cannot handle?
That's a very interesting question. I'm not actually sure there is like a policy issue. I guess, we all have kind of an open door policy. So I would welcome any of my mentees to kind of speak up if they see any issues with getting promoted. Although I haven't heard anything that's specific. Like usually where I see that issue is just that, the confidence is lacking, or we don't know how to advocate for yourself or put yourself in a position where you're visible enough that an opportunity passes by and you can jump on it and say yes, don't say no, like take on more responsibility and then automatically get you to a point where a promotion becomes natural. If there was an actual issue, I think and that's not related to just women, we do have the structures set up internally where we have people we can trust that can look at that from a policy perspective, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I think that those are just, to me, that those are just sort of eventually there'll be some discussion and some company policy might want to be changed. And I'm not in any way pointing out, any deficits, just the sort of inevitable, so that you are already have the pathways to have the right conversation, directed to the right place within the company sounds excellent. And I think that that's, something for other organizations who are thinking about implementing ERGs. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the employee resource groups within companies. I think they give employees a voice and a place, but to be naturally to think about what if someone wants to change, I don't know, usually they're HR policies or something like that. And, what is never feels great is just to have a group of people who are just frustrated about a common thing without a place to put that voice. It's great that you're already thinking about that.
Yeah, and I think that'll become, so right now we have that framework in general. I think that'll become more specific once we set up the DEI governance structure, et cetera. Then there'll be a way to, have, for example, an official women's ERG, where we can handle that through a sponsor or through someone from the DEI committee, for example. I don't know exactly what it'll look like, but I'm sure it'll become more specific. But I do think we already have those options, even with this kind of unofficial women's network that Jen and I have been doing. HR, for example, has been great, because my main concern with doing this is, we're not, professionals at this. We don't know what
Right.
we're doing. Like, I don't have any DEI experience, so I'm always nervous that I'm going to exclude someone, accidentally offend someone. So I've been running ideas, for example, by HR, and they've been super supportive and giving advice while kind of letting me run free. And same for Jen, I would think. So I felt very supportive in that area.
That's awesome. So what are you planning? What's sort of like next up? You've been doing this for what, almost a year now? What are the big plans that you're thinking about?
So having a more official governance, as Alex has been talking about, would be probably the ideal situation. We do know and think that that's possible because we've been having a lot of executive sponsors helping us with this, and Alex has said HR has been extremely responsive. So we really want to continue with it and maybe do like a little bit more of a deep dive on our retention and our recruitment pipeline. So if the women that we have, why are they leaving the company? Or, how can we recruit female STEM undergrads or even experienced developers more frequently and figure out how to attract them?
Right. I think, right now what we're doing works on hopefully retaining people, or the people that are here that they're happy. But as Jen said, we have information from exit interviews that we could analyze. And by we, I mean whoever, has the authority to view those, but to see, is there like a common theme when women leave? Do they even leave more than men? I don't have the answer to that right now, right? And then if we look at the recruitment pipeline, is the pool just so small that we're getting? Are we getting a big pool and it's falling off somewhere in the pipeline or in the recruitment process? We want to analyze some of that stuff to see where we can improve.
Well, I think it's just, having the opportunity to have a proactive place where people can, a safe space to voice their opinions. I mean, let's face it, when people are working, that's a huge part of their life. I believe that most people who are working want to advance with career opportunities. So I applaud you both for, putting the extra effort in to create this space and opportunity for your other team members. I'm sure it is greatly appreciated. The fact that you've got 200 volunteers just when, that was offered to even begin discussing, forming these types of groups is really speaks volumes to the desire from your other team members. As we close out, I really appreciate you both sharing these insights. Jennifer and Alex, if you any closing advice, perhaps to others who might be thinking about forming a similar type of group within their companies, that you might leave our audience with?
So from my perspective, it's been hugely helpful just to have like-minded people. So just having Jen and the other individual who unfortunately couldn't make it today to kind of bounce things off of, it was almost like a microcosm of what we then grew this into. So just think about what you yourself want out of your relationships, and that project that out, extrapolate that out. That helps. We're all human beings. We all have different types of motivations of where we want to get to, but that networking and the feeling that you're not alone and that you can do stuff together to achieve something, I think that's huge.
Yeah, and I think most companies really welcome innovation and ideas, right? And so if I have an idea, somebody wants to hear it, and that idea doesn't have to be specifically related to the software that I'm developing. It can be about the ideas I have in the workplace and helping the company to be more diverse. So it's something that as women or any gender that you should feel like you have an idea and express it and be able to share that and find other people like you to be able to expand that idea.
Well, I really appreciate both of you for both sharing your experience and your enthusiasm for what you've created with this women's network at your global organization. And so this has been an excellent Inspiring Women conversation. I have been speaking with Alex MacLeod and Jennifer Catella, who on their own formed with other team members at Intersystems, the Intersystems Women's Network. And Jennifer and Alex, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for hosting us.
This has been an episode of Inspiring Women with Laurie McGraw. Please subscribe, rate, and review. We are produced by Kate Cruz at Executive Podcast Solutions. More episodes can be found on inspiringwomen.show. I am Laurie McGraw, and thank you for listening.